These plants definitely need moving now. These are sweet peas that we've been growing, and we've got 3 to 4 plants in each cell, but look how well they've come on. Really good looking plants. We have got a bit of a problem though. We didn't want to put them outside too soon for 2 reasons really. The weather just keeps going up and down. We keep getting minus temperatures, and we've got another one coming tonight, -1 I believe. So once again, if you've got tender plants, cover them up with some fleece. Don't start losing plants at this time of year. Then there was a problem with slugs, because slugs really like to attack sweet peas. So we've kept them in here for as long as possible, but then that leads to his next problem, the roots. The roots grow pretty quick on these plants, and they'll start wrapping around the bottom. They'll get root bound. So it's not good to leave them in too small a container for too long. And I don't want to put them outside in garden, and I've got my own reasons for that. And I will explain why when that time comes. So what I'm looking to do is move these on into a container to keep them growing. And I'm not going to grow them to really tall plants either. We're going to put them in a container, and we're going to keep them at a set height, 3 to 4 feet tall. And we're going to put lots in a container. So when they get to the height that we want, we could just pinch the tops off them all and make those plants bush out. So we can have a really nice display of colour. It's better than just leaving them sat in themselves, because eventually those plants will die. So that's today's plan. I'm going to use a container like that. It's not a huge container, but it has got some nice decent sized drainage holes in the bottom of it. And we've got some old compost once again that I'm going to amend, and then I'll top it off with some new stuff. We'll give these plants a fighting chance. There is quite a lot in there. I think there's 24 separate plants. We're not going to get them all in here, but we'll work on moving them on into containers until that time comes where we do plant them outside. It's just not time for that at the moment. Everything else looks alright. My carrots are drying out a bit, I noticed. We'll give them a good watering today. Just before we get started with these sweet peas, thank you very much to Miriam Sigsworth for making a donation to this channel. Massively appreciated, as it always is, and it is going to come in very useful over the next few days. So thank you very much, Miriam, for your generosity. Now I've put that compost in there, I'm going to use some of this, just top it up with lots of nutrients. This is bone meal. You get a good amount in there. It's really going to help these little plants out. Then I'm going to top that up with some new compost. And once again, I'm not sieving that compost, because we're already putting quite big plants in there. I'm just breaking up the lumps. That's all we need to do. It will break down over time itself, but if you're getting really big lumps in there, you're better off breaking them up to start with, and at the same time taking away any stones. Quite a big stone, that one. So we've broke all that up nicely now. I'll just give it a shake to settle it. I'm just going to use another container just to level it out a little bit. We've got around an inch between level of that compost and top of this container. That's plenty. Then I'm just going to use a dibber to make holes around this container. Try and get as many in here as we possibly can. And I'm just going to pop one right in centre. That's just to start us off. You don't have to be too fancy about this. Just get them in and get them on the way. And if you press them down just a little bit deeper than they were, and then firm around those edges, they'll hold themselves up. You probably know that all these plants, they have little tendrils on them. So as they climb, they'll grab hold of anything they can so they can keep going up. So these plants need some support as well. Otherwise, they're just going to start flopping over and growing across ground. and that is too much of an invitation for slugs. So what we'll do is we'll create a little structure around this container to support them as they grow. The most important thing today is just to get them out of these cells, get them on the way to becoming really nice plants full of flower. So a few canes from garden. They're not all exactly the same length, but that doesn't really matter. I've noticed that once again it's trying to rain outside, so I think if I can manage, I'm going to put that 5-foot carrot container outside. It keeps drying out too quickly in this greenhouse, so they're constantly flopping over, and since we've got a few days of rain, haven't we, maybe it's time to try and move it, so I'll do that first. It's quite a big container, so we need to be careful moving this. Don't want to be putting his backs out, but I can just about manage to pick it up. I'll be back in a sec. And now we've got a bit extra room on that bench, and that timing will pretty perfect because it's just started raining. So now we'll crack on with this, and we're not going to be too fancy about it. I'm just going to take one of these canes if I've got space, and I'm just going to push one down centre like that, trying to keep it as straight as I can. That plant's then going to cling onto that and grow up, and then I'm going to put them the same but all the way around edges. So we've got like 5 canes in this container. Trying to select the longest ones as well. It's going to just give us a little bit more height. Something like that's going to work perfectly fine. Then all we have to do now is just arrange his plants around here, and then we'll add some string as well, just to give those tendrils something to grab hold of. You have to be careful with these. If you grow them so densely together, they start clinging onto each other, and then they become a bit of a pain to separate. And we don't want to be damaging any plants. I'll take this one out. You can see those little tendrils there. And that's what's going to be grabbing hold of those canes. And that extra string that we put in. So, a quick, without breaking the plant up too much, just loosen those roots off. They'll find the way a lot easier then. And then we're going to put 2 in between each cane. They might start falling over and falling apart as you do it, but as I said before, push them deeper. And this is what's going to happen if you're not careful. They're going to start growing all over the floor, and we don't want that. So if I just put it there, you can see better what I'm doing. Basically, just making that hole. They'll get secured in a moment. We'll just put them to one side. So I'm just making a nice deep hole, so it can shove that plant right down and pinch it together, and that's going to help it stand up a bit more. Like that. And then we go again. I can probably get 3 on this parted container. Just loosen them roots, bang them straight in like that, nice and firmly, and they will start clinging onto each other as they grow as well. Let's put another one in right there. Just a little bit of a loosen up on that roots, so they're all now dangling down. Brilliant. And then push it down into that container, firm around. We could also fill in with extra compost as well if we needed to, but I think we'll be fine. Once these plants get established, they'll hold their own. Right down and firm. So just a couple more, and that's that job done. So now all I'm going to do is tie some string to this part, nice and tight so it doesn't slip down, and then I'll wrap it around and keep it low so that these plants have got something to grab hold of. So we'll just tie that off now, and we'll start clinging on to everything. And what we'll do is we'll just tie another piece of string on right there, and then I'll just wrap it around as we go and just keep working his way up as far as we want. Well, the sun's come out. I'm glad I took them carrots outside. This frame, although not the most professional looking thing in the world, will soon be covered with these plants as they start to grow up it, and this will then become one big mass of flowers. And it's portable, so we can move it out at arm's way. But for the moment, that's pretty much all those plants sorted out, and we'll just keep an eye on them over the next few days. So I'm going to give these a bit of watering, and then we'll see how they get on over the next few days. But they won't be any worse off than what they was when they were in here, and we've got a few left, so that'll be a container for another day. At least now we know they're not going to get root bound, and we've guaranteed ourselves a nice display of flowers come mid-spring. And if you want to see how these get on and what we're doing next, please hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell, and I'll see you at the next one. Take care.